What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I am joined by Degenerate Jay. Now, Jay, we're going to continue what we've been doing with Kingdom Hearts on this channel. So for you guys that have been watching me for as many years or as many days, however long you have been, obviously we've covered a lot about Kingdom Hearts. We've talked a lot about the future, whether it's Kingdom Hearts 4 or spin-offs. We talked about Nomura news when he kind of unleashed really a kraken in terms of all of the weird stuff he wants to do in the future. Jay on his channel, and I definitely encourage you guys to check his channel out. All of that stuff, his channel, his Let's Play channel, will be in the description below and a pinned comment. He's going to be starting, he's already done actually Kingdom Hearts stuff, but he's reinvigorated. So in this video, we want to kind of get down a little bit into the Marvel worlds. When Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, we talked about this a little bit in worlds that they could introduce, and they didn't have to be Disney worlds. I think we picked Disney worlds. Obviously, the plan seems to be that Nomura maybe is going to go a little bit away from Disney worlds, right? We've talked about that in previous videos, but we want to focus on, well, if he did, we've talked about Star Wars actually on Jay's channel, and we're going to talk about Marvel here. So, Jay, thank you so much for being on here.
Hey, thanks for having me, dude. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the channel shout out. I am definitely trying to get more into Kingdom Hearts, and yeah, I finally got to Kingdom Hearts 3 in 2020 and beat it, and boy, was that a thing?
Yeah, that's all you can really say about it. So let's talk about this. So Marvel, and I would say like the Avengers. I guess that is a question, though. If you did Marvel Worlds, would you focus on standalone characters or would you bring the whole gang together? To me, really, there's no choice. I would say you have to do an Avengers kind of thing. On Jay's channel, when we did Star Wars, we talked about themes and, the idea of light and dark works. I mean, that literally is the premise of Kingdom Hearts. Avengers, I mean, it's a little bit more ambiguous. Some characters, have kind of shadier backstories or, histories to them. They're not always perfectly good versus evil, but the general idea, right? Or if you did like a Thanos thing, is bad guy, good guy. I think this makes sense. Again, much like I said with Star Wars, the idea to me, or the thing holding me back, would just be, how much do you want to do live action? To date, there's really, Pirates of the Caribbean is the biggest thing they've done, and that is Nomura himself that, wanted to do that. So if you did Star Wars, if you did Avengers, would you want to step into the live action? Now, a thing I actually even forgot to say in Jay's video is, well, the way they're going with Verum Rex. That is more video game live action characters. So it does make sense that you could do something like that. So, Jay, when it comes to Avengers, do you think it makes sense? Do you think, if they did that and they went more live action, do you think like that actually is a path they would go?
I think that it depends on what Nomura wants, which is the sad thing, which we say with everything. As much as I like him, he gets final say, I believe, on what is actually included. Like you said, and that's why Pirates was included. But I don't think you can really... You would have to do so many worlds to do individual characters. So that's kind of the problem, is you'd have to do an Iron Man world and maybe a Thor world. And, all of a sudden it becomes Avengers the game again.
Right.
I don't think you can do that. But I think what you could do is essentially drop it into a big Hero 6 situation where maybe the Avengers are first coming together, or they've only been together for a little bit and Sora helps patch that out, or whoever you play as in this game helps kind of iron out that team aspect, I guess, of them and kind of bring them closer together by the end. I think that's kind of how you'd have to go. But you would also need to get into more of these individual characters. Otherwise, it would just be like, hey, I remember Iron Man. And that would be it. You kind of need to be able to do both, I think, in a world. So maybe you team up with different characters individually, and then by the end of that world, you come together with the entire Avengers. I think you need to do something like that. I think the Keyblade opportunities for this are insane, because think about this, an Iron Man themed Keyblade. Yeah. So maybe themed like his armor, like his Mark 50 armor or something like that. There's a lot of stuff you could do with that. A Captain America themed Keyblade, or a Captain America themed Goofy shield,
right? Yeah.
Or a Doctor Strange Donald Duck wand. There's a lot of stuff you could do with this, and even the costumes could be really cool if you put Sora in a mask or anything like that. I think that the video game aspects of this are amazing. It just depends on how they'd want to tackle it through the story and what they'd want to do, because a lot of times these worlds have an underlying meaning to them and more going on that ties into the overall story. So the question is how they do that with Marvel.
Right. No, totally. I think it makes sense in terms of, like you said, skins, keyblades, even the idea of good versus bad. But you have all these live action characters. You do have to connect it to some point. That really is what doesn't scare me, but that is kind of what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, right? Where it's like where they go from here. Nomura saying like he really wants to change things up. I don't read that any other way than he's going full on, ancient Keyblade wielders and Master of Masters and all that stuff. Does that leave room for, do they have a purpose to go into these worlds anymore? Obviously they do, because they'll have to, right? Because if you don't have Disney worlds of any kind, if you don't have a Pirates, if you don't have, an Aladdin or whatever you do, if you don't have them, is it really Kingdom Hearts? I'd say still absolutely yes, but obviously a lot of the people that are sane, the people that haven't gone down the rabbit hole, they are, they obviously wouldn't, I don't think they would buy the game, to be honest, right? Because a lot of people that buy the main entries, or at least 3, the best-selling Kingdom Hearts game, I would honestly assume bought it for nostalgia, or the fact that it was the first game in however long since 2, but also because, we get to experience Frozen, we get to experience all this stuff. So I think that it is what kind of makes Kingdom Hearts magical. I think there's literally, at this point, there's probably no bigger property than Marvel, right, in terms of doing it. So they've done Pirates, they've done a lot of other stuff. You look at Star Wars, it's a big property, but it's got so much negativity around it. Marvel, right now, it's good. I mean, if they wait too long, the issue is, too, there's a lot of very uncertain Marvel stuff coming out that could be really good, could be really bad, right? They may have lost their magic, and we don't know it yet. So if they wait too long, they could be banking on a property that's going downhill.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that that's kind of the issue that you're reaching with this, is also Marvel has had some bad publicity lately. I mean, yes, they got Miles Morales, and that's great, but they also got the Avengers game. That is the biggest thing tied to Marvel in terms of name, probably since Endgame. So it kind of depends on how long they wait, what else comes out, how they want to incorporate this. I think the themes work really well, like you said. I think that it has the potential to be great. It just depends on how much they want to tie this into other things. And I will say, kind of as one of my closing thoughts with this, it does kind of riff off of something you said, though, too, about them probably wanting to move away a little bit from Disney worlds. And while that is true 100%, like I said in my video that we did together on my channel about Star Wars with Kingdom Hearts, they also have said similar weird things in the past about not having as much of an interest. I remember way back around, I think, Kingdom Hearts 2, and I can't find the quote, so I'm sorry if I'm just, Mandela affecting this, but I'm 99% sure, and Alex can probably back me up, that at one point they had said that they weren't moving into Pixar. At least they didn't have plans to.
Yeah.
So, and they did. In Kingdom Hearts 3, there's more than one Pixar world.
Yep.
So because of that, it kind of comes down to how the plan changes over time, what they want to include, and where they want to go with it. And I do think that this has the potential to help reinvigorate the series and add some stuff, because I also do believe that if they go fully away from that stuff as well, yes, you can have Twilight Town, you can have Hollow Bastion, Radiant Garden, you can have The World That Never Was, and all these other things. There were complaints in 3. There were a lot of complaints in 3 of the scope of the game, of not having much of an end game or places to go back to that mattered, of not having Final Fantasy specifically. They mentioned one Final Fantasy thing in all of 3 that I know of, and that's just mentioning Cloud in the Olympus, and that's it. So fans were disappointed by that. I think you do need at least a little bit of Final Fantasy and a little bit of Disney. Otherwise, it feels like all of a sudden it's not the same franchise.
Right. They with these main games, we've always said it, or at least I've always said it, the main games are, I think, more streamlined. They're more for a general audience. You have people that don't really know. And I don't blame these people, by the way. So if you are these people, they don't know the story, and I don't blame them. Right? We hardly know the story. And to your point of they've said things in the past too, and then kind of doubling back on it. Nomura, I feel like, kind of wings half the things. We've talked about that too. In my mind, there is 0% chance he has had the story planned from the beginning. I think he's had definitely elements. I think he's had a rough outline, but there is no way. You will not convince me that he had planned literally everything from the very beginning. So yeah, I think a lot of these things they're said now, and then maybe they happen, maybe they don't happen. I do believe him, though, when he says he wants to do different. I mean, it couldn't be more clear he wants to go Final Fantasy. Okay, it couldn't be more clear. I think, honestly, that opens the door to live action, because you are doing a sci-fi-ish live action kind of thing with that. So if you're doing that, you could do Star Wars, you could do Avengers. In fact, I don't really think there's a better way of introducing it than going down that route. Also, if you're going to go into the fictional worlds, remember the worlds that are not light, they're not dark, they're not the final world, they're nothing. They're imaginary worlds created in Kingdom Hearts. Then I mean, Star Wars could be one of those. It could be a movie made in the game. Avengers could be the exact same thing, right? A superhero game. It'd be very meta if they dropped this into Marvel's Avengers, the Square Enix game. I would never want that. Let's just forget that game existed, and we'll move on.
With Kamala.
Huh?
You just team up with Kamala, and that's
it. And you do you raid at the end over and over and over again, which you sometimes have to do in Kingdom Hearts to level up, but not in 3 because it's too easy. That's just a personal opinion. Anyway, let us know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think they would go for Avengers? Again, on Jay's channel, we talked about Star Wars. Do you think they would do something like that? As always, make sure you guys are subscribed here. All of my social media stuff is in the description below. So is Jay's. Again, Jay, an amazing, amazing person, talks about a ton of different stuff. If you like my Kingdom Hearts stuff, I'm sure you'll like his. He's jumping onto it. I'm sure he'll be covering it for years to come as we get like 5,000 other games. So, Jay, thank you so much for joining me for this.
Hey, thanks for having me, dude. I really appreciate it. And I honestly love your audience. They're into so many different things. They're all very nice people. I've had nothing but kind interactions with them. And I appreciate all of you watching this as well.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And these guys, you guys right now watching here, these Kingdom Hearts ones, I've always told you guys for years, I've been saying this, you guys are probably the smartest. I guess maybe it's an insult against other people, but Kingdom Hearts fans, very passionate for all the right reasons, and also very, very intelligent. You guys catch things in these games I can only dream of, and I'm always learning stuff from you. So, more Kingdom Hearts stuff. I'm not done. We've done probably 10, 12 videos on Kingdom Hearts over the last couple weeks. Gonna be continuing. Anything that comes out Kingdom Hearts related, I'll be covering it. So, I'm sure we'll Jay. So, again, make sure you guys check him out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all on the next video.